It's called Advanced Answering Techniques. So it is three professional people explaining to other people how to answer different questions, a multiple variety of questions. Advanced Answering Techniques.
Hello and welcome to Advanced Answering Techniques. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Josh. I'm joined by two co-hosts. This is a podcast in which we take user/listener questions and we give them answers. We try to answer them to the best of our abilities, which are considerable. I'd like to introduce one of the co-hosts now. Caleb, you've been, I would say, pretty openly pro hot dog in the past. What would have to happen for you to renounce hot dog?
Oh, boy.
And all its works.
Yeah, if hot dog changes its shape.
Oh, okay. That's a big part of it.
Out.
Yeah.
If it became some kind of like Toblerone.
Yeah.
This is not
meaty Toblerone.
Yes, a triangle of meat.
This is not true hot dog.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going for it too much. Although, actually, you know what? Okay, Toblerone I might accept because you could get a really cool bun to go with it.
Right. Well, in some ways, it works with standard bun.
Yeah.
It just, you can put the point down at the bottom, and so then it actually creates a kind of nice wedge.
Yeah.
They should consider. I think they should consider that.
Yep.
I'm not as openly pro hot dog as you, so
I take it back. One example I gave.
That would not do it.
It works.
It would actually cause you to become more devoted to hot dog.
It's like if you made like a donut shaped hot dog or like a bagel shaped hot dog.
That's not
I'm not having that.
No, that's good.
Where does the bun go?
Other co-host is Gabe. Gabe, now that we know what LLMs are, have we gotten any closer to applying that knowledge so that we can know what LL Beans is? So, we have large language models.
Yeah, like AI.
That's AI, right?
Yeah.
Does that help us? Is it large language beans?
Or bottles?
Well,
it's LL Beans.
Oh, we do know it's
LL
beans.
We know that it's beans.
We know it's beans. Well, I thought we would. Well, what is B? Is it LLBEAN?
do we know that LL stands for large language? Because I always thought it was large luscious.
We have a big question to get to today. This question is from a listener. I believe we may have had. Have we answered a question?
I don't think so.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
I'm not going to say because I don't want to feel bad when I remember.
I'm fine with feeling bad. I feel bad most of the time, so that's pretty normal. But I think that it's part of it is a trick of the brain or the ear that plays into it. Where this questioner sounds remarkably similar to another questioner due to relation, family.
I just want to say that you said you feel bad. I feel bad too a lot.
Right.
So I should say I don't want to feel worse.
There you go.
Let's listen to a question from Julie.
Hi, my name's Julie, and I have a problem that I thought you guys might have some great advice for. We are moving out of our home, and we live out in the country, and we are remodeling our home, so we will be living out of a barn while we're remodeling. And my question is just, what kind of advice could you give a big family that has to live out of a barn for a whole summer? And what kind of things we could do to make living out of a barn not feel so barn-like?
A great question from Julie. What kinds of things should they... I've written it down because for some reason the second part of the question wipes the first part of the question. A big family who has to live out of a barn for a whole summer.
Yes.
What kinds of advice can we give about that?
She answers it in the question.
Make it feel less like living in a barn.
No, she says I thought that you guys could give great advice.
Exactly.
And then
Yes.
she says, "What kind of advice?"
Great.
And I was just going to say
Oh, I
great.
see.
It'd just be great advice.
Yep.
That's the kind of advice
Yep.
we could give.
That's correct. So that's easy.
1 of 2.
One
Done.
out of 2 completed. How do we feel like we did on that one?
I think pretty good.
Good.
Actually, great.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have it. I mean, honestly, it's just kind of rearranging what she said.
Yeah.
And so it's like not too much work for us, but
It's-
still answers the question, and no one can dispute that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I did a little preparation on trying to answer the first question because it wasn't as obvious to me, and that's on me, and I'm a little embarrassed.
Now there are you could find a different way of interpreting that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of advice?
Right. Like what kinds of
you know.
content-filled things that would
Yeah.
you say rather than right? And are there any? I mean, one thing that somebody should ask us is, are there any questions that we would answer without like a totally pedantic, approach to, like grammatically?
Well, we're just trying to be efficient.
It's true. And we're trying to teach people kind of some mistakes that they do make when they're if you're asking a question and you're not a board certified lawyer, that you're going to have some trouble.
Well, sometimes you're actually just not even asking the right questions.
Yeah, that's true. I think that if you're just some of the great advice that I would give, or at least kind of, I want to open a barn door towards a gesture. And so you open a barn door and
Towards
inside,
a gesture.
and inside there's a hand.
Okay.
You can see the hand, and the
Just
hand
the
is
hand.
making certain, it's kind of doing one of these, like an unfurling kind of
Okay.
gesture.
Okay, so it's not.
Presenting.
I was thinking maybe it's like where they, Hunter S. Thompson, when he died, he had the weird hand thing, the statue with the 2 thumbs and the peyote.
Yeah,
button in the middle.
right.
So someone had to build that, and I bet
The
it was in a
mutant.
barn.
It probably was built in a barn. So you're just thinking that the barn door opens and there's
the
Hunter S.
gesture.
Thompson's mutant hand gesturing. That's possible. I think the first thing that you want to do when you're approaching your living in a barn is you need to first assess the barn. You need to do some basic barn assessment. What kinds of things do you guys think are essential when you're assessing a barn?
I mean, bedrooms.
Bedrooms?
That's
How
pretty clear.
many?
Stalls.
Yeah.
Those are the stalls.
Yes.
The bedrooms are the stalls are the bedrooms. Kitchen.
Kitchen.
I've been in barns that do have sinks.
Sure.
So if your barn has a sink,
If it has a milk parlor, just say, this is our kitchen.
this milk parlor is now our kitchen. Milk parlor.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You ever been to a dairy barn?
No, just horse barns.
You know what? I think milking parlor is a style of dairy barn. But so I'm thinking of the room that has the milk tank.
Big
milk
old
tank.
And then
milk.
there's the milk tank room.
the big old
And then there
milk
are
jug.
some, and then in some barns, there are some sinks in there too.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's a good
Do you
start.
ever? Now I know this would be not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But when you were working at the dairy, Josh,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever just get in that big milk jug?
Did I get in the big milk jug?
Milk soak.
There was a milk tank
Yeah.
in the front of the barn, easy access for the Land O'Lakes guy.
Yeah, did you ever get
did I
in
get
there
in-
and then accidentally get sucked up into the Land O'Lakes tanker?
Okay, so
I
did
guess,
you
I
ever-
guess what we're asking, Josh, is did you ever accidentally be turned into
Get-
butter?
I spent a gap year as butter.
I got promoted at the dairy. I'm butter now.
Now I'm butter.
I feel a bunch of butter now.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
It's butter hours, butter pay, butter benefits.
Yep. Yep, I became quite intimate with an English muffin.
Oh, that you came back. Yeah, I remember
wow.
you came back from that feeling all hoity-toity.
yeah.
That's just
It's
confusing.
like, Josh, you're butter and you're fancy. You're nothing like the brother I knew.
You're much better.
Speaking of English muffins, you do want to have a look around the barn and kind of. I think it's a good idea to get an idea of how many nooks, how many crannies.
Yeah.
Just have a nook look.
And a cranny pan.
Pan for crannies.
This is good. This is really, I think, effective advice for sort of,
Yeah.
you want to scope it. You kind of come up with a plan. You scope everything out.
I mean, it might be helpful you've got a big family. It might be helpful to get your children involved.
Mm-hmm.
Their imaginations are so fertile. You just kind of look around and look at a particular nook and say, what do we think that could be?
Yeah.
What could this nook become?
Yeah, and don't make them all book nooks.
No, or breakfast.
Yeah. Well, you can't do both.
No.
You can't make them all book nooks and all breakfast nooks.
Well, that's not what I was saying, but you're right. I mean, you can't do that. I just mean you need
Don't
to have
even do
more than a
half.
simple binary breakfast versus book.
And what other nooks are there? Breakfast, there's book. We know those two. And
Yeah.
we're saying don't do them all that.
Yeah, but that's why you got to get the children involved.
Yeah. Get that in
Yes.
imagination.
The imagination, so they can look at a nook and imagine that it is something other than a book or breakfast.
Yeah.
nook.
Which that thing, what could it be? We don't know. Our imaginations, I'd say mine's it's not completely fertile.
No, I'd say mine like when I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a nook and I'm trying to think of something that is not either breakfast or book.
Yeah.
I came up with one thing and I hate it.
Okay.
But let's just go for it. It's a shrine to your favorite Lord of the Rings character.
Yep.
It's your Peregrine Took Nook. That's
It's
bad.
a Took Nook.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this is spitballing.
Yeah.
So those are just ideas.
I'd say
throwing
Gabe's
it out there.
imagination is on the decline.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, certainly. Well, I mean, it's pretty much limited to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I
okay.
wish that mine, if you're sort of gazing about and there's a particular nook that is second star to the right straight on till morning, that's going to be a hook nook.
See, okay. And see, I'm not gonna. My
good.
imagination is not dead, or even really, I think, on decline. It may have plateaued, but I'm hoping for it to go up again.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for my imagination to go up again.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not gonna tell you guys what I thought of.
Okay.
Because, I find that when I keep secrets,
yeah.
my imagination does kind of go wild.
If you find a nook that seems like the perfect place to just put 4 pieces from a chess set, that's going to be your rook nook.
Okay, well,
That's
I mean,
true. That is true.
now it's getting to where I am feeling like I kind of have to prove that I do have an imagination and it's not completely dead. And I guess what we're kind of saying imagination is things that rhyme with nook.
Well, it's
so even though breakfast is in there, so
I kind of have an idea for a kitchen.
I got one
situation. Okay.
I have one. This one is it's the opposite of breakfast, and it's the nook that you sit in and don't eat. It's the fast nook.
Oh, like fast knocked.
Fast knocked.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that don't tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I can imagine what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you
It's a
end
stool.
okay. Wait. A fast knocked?
No,
Fast knocked?
the fast nook is just a 3-legged stool
Stool.
that fits right in the
And you
corner.
it is a stool. Is there room for you to sit in there or no?
No.
No, it's just for the stool.
Yeah.
It's really more of
Very
a
low.
stool nook.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you keep your stool there, and then
Yeah.
and then you don't go in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I am just learning what a fast nook is, so I'm not gonna actually try to put any limitations on what it could be, or because I don't actually fully understand the concept.
Yeah, well, you're not eating there because you're not there.
When you are, this is just another note. When you cross the half court line, somebody's throws you the ball, and
the rock.
Somebody tosses you the rock, and the rest of the opposing team is behind you, and you're headed towards the basket. That's a fast break.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right, and that's it's interesting because it's like the answer to that was just rearranging breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if
the
you
question that breakfast poses.
Yeah, I was just thinking I guess I was thinking
because then I'm eating.
Fast.
I'm thinking fast break, and I'm eating a Reese's fast break for breakfast.
if you are looking around and you see a nook that might make a good place for a kitchen, that could be a cook nook. And also, all this talk about nooks, we barely even touched on crannies.
Right.
And you said you're moving in there with your big family. Yeah. I don't know if it's an intergenerational situation.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But I think I know.
You might want to keep your eye out for a granny cranny.
Oh, okay, because I thought maybe if it's a couple generations, maybe there's some children who've gotten somewhat out of hand. You haven't been able to guide them properly. They're making certain life choices. You might need a tranny cranny.
Yeah.
Can
we go back
too.
to the nook?
Do you need help watching your kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure you have space for a nanny cranny.
Nanny cranny. You got to, and that'll hopefully keep them from the tranny, so you don't have to have the tranny cranny.
You won't even need the tranny cranny.
Yeah.
If you got the nanny and granny
if
cranny.
it's a good nanny.
Yeah.
Right. I do want to go back to nook really quick because
Please.
we forgot to mention one of our favorite raccoons, Tom Nook. And so if you do find a raccoon in a corner or a nook, you could call it the Tom Nook.
There you go.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah. I do think that part of them living there is going to be removing as many animals from the
something that
premises.
It could be a dead raccoon.
Oh, okay. Well,
one,
in that
like
case,
a prize or a warning.
Yeah, one that's taxidermied.
Yeah, and is wearing a fine suit.
And you should do a lot of work to, one of the things I wrote down is identify the spiders.
Okay, yeah.
It's okay. Every barn is going to have spiders. There shouldn't, I'm just trying to get ahead of some of the shame that someone might feel suggesting that their barn has spiders. Let it go. Barns have spiders. You just get used to it. Every barn's got spiders. The question is, which spiders are these? So just run some IDs.
Yeah.
Background check.
Oh, background check for sure.
Figure out which spiders these are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know if you're dealing with bad spiders or good spiders. And are these spiders here legally?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did these spiders get here illegally?
Yeah. Or am I going to have to call Spice?
Right.
That's Spider ICE.
Gotcha.
Yeah, spider, yes. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's a lot. It's interesting because we've kind of, I think we're on the right path here because I was going to suggest that we don't, when you get into the barn, you don't make it just for you. You're kind of coming into a different territory. So work with what's there. You're already remodeling your home.
Right.
Don't try to remodel the barn.
Yeah.
To fit you for right now. And there's animals and things living in there already.
Yeah.
You have to find where you are in the pecking order.
So in this case, they're cohabitating with the animals that are present in the barn already.
We're assuming, I don't know if it's that kind of farm. But I mean, if it is, this is essential.
Yeah. It's like Wilbur in Charlotte's Web.
Yeah,
he doesn't come in and start trying to run everything.
No,
he finds his place.
He gets
Although
in.
I'd like to see that.
He gets in and he does, punch a duck as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Just to kind of make his, statement like.
Well, the ducks aren't going to be over me.
Right.
Yeah. At least I'm over the ducks.
Right. And just to make sure that nobody sees him as, some kind of candy ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm Wilbur. I'm hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm a hardened criminal.
Yeah.
And he's careful to save up all of his canteen money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he can what does he do with his canteen money? I
Well,
completely forget what Wilbur does with all the money that because he's going to buy cigarettes.
Well, I was going to say he probably buys a bunch of cartons of smokes.
Yeah.
And then trades it for some cool prison ink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot at the end of that book, he is just...
He's covered in tattoos.
I mean, he's covered in tattoos, but there's really one central kind of, one that you fixate on and that E.B. White spends a lot of time describing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, the book is constant. Everyone remembers the words in the spider web.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's weird that no one really talks about all the
Yeah.
different words that are tattooed on this
all
pig.
over. Yeah.
And Wilbur's got that sort of like,
Yeah.
sort of a central, it's like the back piece that sort of like brings everything together.
Yeah.
And it's like some pigs and it's a bunch of dead cops.
And we know they're cops.
Yeah.
Well, they're wearing uniforms, police officer uniforms.
That's what I meant.
And so did I.
It's great that there's no problem.
It's perfect that there's no issue.
It feels like there's a little bit of an issue.
I guess there is.
No, absolutely not.
No,
Gabe and I are on great terms.
Okay. It just, it seems like you felt a little corrected, or Gabe.
I don't think so.
I didn't feel corrected. I said what I said, and I will stand by it.
Yeah. That they were some pigs and they were
Some
cops.
pigs.
Some
Yeah,
pigs.
and
And they're dead cops.
They're dead cops. And he's like, yeah, these are some pigs. You should have sent better ones, I guess. I don't know. He's cop killer sort of deal.
Wilbur, notorious cop killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so sad.
That Wilbur
kills cops.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I mean, he's trying... You can... Throughout most of the novel, you can tell he's trying to sort of leave that behind.
I know.
He's turned over...
It's so much to deal with.
Yeah. He's really striving to be a butter pig.
We've kind of explored the idea a little bit of getting aware of your surroundings in your barn. Just, figure out what's there. If you're sharing the space with other animals, you need to strike first, show that you can hold your own, that you're a force to be reckoned with.
But don't try to go too far.
Yeah. Right. Don't, in other words, don't elbow a horse. The horses are big. Do horses run the barn? I don't know. They're big.
They're big. They're one of the
take
bigger
up
ones.
space.
The horse and the cow.
Mm-hmm.
The cow isn't as smart.
Yeah.
But it has kind of a slow wisdom.
But I think an elephant is bigger than both of those things.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about full-grown elephant.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
And if we're just talking about mammals, it's got to be whales.
Whales are definitely bigger.
I mean,
even
whales are bigger.
Even a baby whale.
Whales are bigger if there's a whale in the barn.
Yeah.
Sorry, I dropped something. If there's
I see. Yeah, so like what kind of animals would be in a barn?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's physically impossible for a whale to be in a barn.
Okay.
Again, we don't know if they have any animals in this barn.
Yeah, if this is just a barn that holds
if it's dumb to talk about there being a whale in the barn, and there isn't a whale in the barn, then it would be dumb to be talking about there being a horse in the barn if there isn't a horse in the barn.
It's as dumb.
It's dumb.
It is.
It's as stupid to talk because we don't know.
We just don't even know.
We don't know what animals are in there.
So if I talk about I'm like assuming that there's a whale in this barn, I wouldn't sound any dumber. Or sorry, if I was just assuming there was a horse in this barn, I wouldn't sound any dumber if I said that there's a whale.
That maybe there's a whale in the barn.
Right, and the whale's going to be the biggest.
Yeah.
And so don't elbow a whale.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Find your place.
You can choose. I mean, I think it's right to find your place, but it's also like, how do you want to? Do you want to inflict minor damage on a like high-ranking member, or major damage on some very low-ranking, like maybe multiple, just think about how vulnerable a flock of ducklings will be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Decimate.
just a few, maybe 30 seconds of stomping, you can really stake a claim.
And you can make it like you're not going after the ducklings. You're just doing your stomping exercise.
Well, I see. I think that would undermine your. I don't think you want to be seen as absent-minded.
I think you have to. You have to communicate intent while you're stomping on the ducklings, and I really think that even if like we're saying, these are perhaps the weakest members of this community,
right?
And you're just there stomping them. Even the stronger members that maybe thought the ducklings were cute or maybe liked the ducklings would see this and think, okay, I'm not going to mess around with that guy or that family.
Well, my point was I'm not going to mess around with that human family that's moved in here. Yeah. I mean, my point was not that people don't know that you are stomping the ducklings.
No.
My point was that you would do your stomping exercise. Right. And then it would happen.
Right. No.
And then you would go, oops.
No.
And kind of give
I criticized you.
Look around.
Oh, I see. So the knowing look does make all the difference.
It does.
As if it communicates intent.
If someone has to explain the story, it's not just like to the farmer, I guess. The farmer comes in.
To be honest, you might just take out the farmer.
You don't want to do that.
Really?
Who else is going to take care of all these animals?
Well, that's what, again, we still don't know if there are animals. And I think in this case, the family is the farmer.
No, they're not.
Because it's their barn.
Does she say that it's their barn?
They said they're moving into a barn.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I do think it's their barn.
Probably.
It would
just
seem
don't
strange.
know that.
They're doing renovation on their house. If they chose to move to a barn on a different property.
It seems like the compromise is one made out of convenience.
Yes.
I mean,
and maybe saying we don't want to pay, because at that point you might be paying rent to stay in somebody else's barn. And
whereas
at that
you've
point,
got a perfectly good barn.
Well, but they.
Well, I mean, that's part of the barn assessment. Assess the barn.
Yeah.
Is your barn worth staying in?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's pretty crazy already to stay in a barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's your barn or not.
And I think that's actually why the question comes up.
It's kind of like when you're deciding if there might be a whale or a horse in a barn.
Right.
It's the same. It's like you don't know.
Yeah. You just got to go look.
Yeah.
Got to go look around.
Yeah, so if you my point was,
don't assume that your barn is the right barn to stay in. You might want to look at other barns.
There might be a better barn.
Yeah.
With more animals that you like, less competitive animals,
more vulnerable animals.
Yes. Yeah. My only point was, you say you're doing your stomping exercises, and you do them a few days before the day.
You got to set it up
so that then you have an out. So when the witnesses give testimony, they say she was doing her stomping exercises,
right.
And then she directed them towards. Seems like she directed them towards the ducklings.
Mm-hmm.
You have a way out, a legal way out, but everyone gets the message.
Yep.
Oh, you didn't mean to kill all the ducklings. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it was leg day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good. Yeah, so we've really established that you need to get in there and assess the barn for livability in terms of spaces that will work for sleeping space, cooking space, common areas, and animal hierarchy. How are you going to fit into the potential sort of dominance structure that exists?
Yeah.
But she did want us to talk about ways that they could make it less barny.
Less barn-like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, well, I'm not. I wasn't correcting you. I was just, chiming.
Barny.
Yeah, that is really tricky because pretty much anything that goes on inside of a barn, will have the characteristics of being in a barn. Everything that happens in a barn is barn-like.
Right.
It's
almost, it's not even like.
It is
barn.
It's barn.
Yeah. But
what's the most just off the top of our heads? What's the most unbarn thing you could do in a barn?
Put a Bob Marley poster.
Bob Marley? I don't know. I think a Jamaican guy who's hiding out for a while.
Yeah.
That sounds very likely that might happen.
This Jamaican guy's on the run from the law.
Yeah.
He was on the run?
Oh yeah, he's on the run.
Yeah.
He's not.
Well, do you want him here?
He was in Jamaica, right? They don't have barns in Jamaica.
Oh, no. He's here.
He's here.
Wait, Bob Marley?
This Jamaican guy.
You said Bob Marley poster in a barn is the most unbarn-like thing, and I said, no way, because there's a Jamaican.
Okay.
There's a Jamaican guy. He has a little cardboard tube. He's got a couple posters in there. One of them's the Bob Marley poster.
Yep. What's the other one?
The other one,
American flag.
Yeah, but he puts it up upside down.
Okay, he's trying. I was going to say he's trying to blend in or something.
Well, he likes the country. He wants to be here.
Okay,
but he did put it up upside down. Is that because he doesn't know, or is I think he's
Caleb made a crazy.
His eyes
gesture.
His eyes are wrong. They're upside down in his head.
Oh, I see. He's looking at it.
But he likes to see Bob Marley upside down.
So he's got a vision issue.
I just want to make sure. Sometimes I think when Caleb's throwing some of these things out, it can be a little hard to follow.
Yeah, he's got a vision issue. He cannot see right side
There's a Jamaican guy on the run in the United States. He comes to a barn. The barn is, I guess, not frequently used. He kind of sets up shop in the barn. He's got a little cardboard tube. He's got two posters. One is Bob Marley poster. One's an American flag poster. Excuse me. And the guy likes to see the American flag upside down.
No, right side
up. Bob Marley upside down.
Yeah.
So that's how he arranges them on the wall.
But if this is happening.
Well, he arranges them the other way because his eyes are upside down in his head.
Yeah, no, but that's what I meant. Is he arranges them on the wall so that it appears correct to him?
From his perception.
What would not be explained by what I said?
No, I see. I see.
Anyway, he's on the run, but he's kept his posters with him. And if this is happening in more than one barn in America, I would be shocked. So I think to say that putting up a Bob Marley poster would maybe be already barn-like based on this one instance that you've proposed.
I'm just saying it probably happened.
A bit of a stretch.
I don't think it's happening all that much now. But my suggestion was going to be a meeting of the UN in a barn.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That would be good.
Yeah,
that would be good.
If you could tempt the UN to have, I don't think it has to be like a full-on UN meeting.
Oh yeah, there's not.
You could probably get like Canada, Poland.
Canada, Poland. UK.
Yeah.
What's another one? Jamaica. Get Jamaica. In
there.
I have to say, maybe not the case though. If we are to believe one of our favorite films, Rescuers, and the Rescuers Down Under.
Yes.
And they kind of have their own UN, and that could very likely happen in a barn.
Okay. All right.
You're saying the Rescuers have their own UN, and
that's basically what's happening.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
They basically
they have delegates from various countries.
Yeah, and these are all animals.
Yeah.
And so they might be having this meeting in a barn. So that is already barn-like. Sorry, UN meeting
I'm wrong.
is barn-like. So that's a bad pitch from Caleb.
I messed up. Josh, maybe you can do it.
Do I have any
The
ideas?
least barn-like thing you could do in a barn.
Yeah.
I think at a certain point we can always just walk it back to like things happen in space, and a barn is a space.
Yeah. I have another idea, which
Yeah.
is like
Well-
you build a smaller barn inside the barn.
Mhm.
Like
That
who's
that
doing
would
that?
be well. It might be a little eccentric, but I mean, what is more barn-like than a thing that is not a barn? That's in a barn. That's
becoming
in
a
a
barn?
barn. Like if you build a small barn, like that is it's barnoid inherently.
Yeah.
It's barn-like.
Yeah. Okay. But the
It's a
activity.
facsimile of a barn.
Right. Right.
What if you built like a factory?
Mm.
Made like a factory or you made the barn into a factory. You start.
I think
I don't
we've
know.
already-
You start manufacturing.
Or if you
like-
set up
I think we've already done that.
that's
in
a good
America.
idea. That's a good idea. Yeah, we have kind of created a real factory farming kind of situation, haven't we?
Okay. Okay. Wow.
But
I didn't even think about it in those terms.
But what you just said reminded me that if you kind of turned it into, if you kind of had the S&P, is it 500 S&P 500?
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
the stock thing.
If you're conducting stock trading
Yes.
on a
Okay.
national scale,
Or you mean
Yeah.
like the New York Stock Exchange?
the New York Stock Exchanges, that's an even better example.
Yeah, but you know what? The bull and bear market. There's bulls in a barn.
Well, there can be
That's
bulls
true.
in the
Yeah.
barn, but actually this is just going to be a bear market.
Okay.
We can't say that a bear wouldn't be in the barn.
And in this way, bears in Wales are pretty similar.
Oh yeah, the bear is like the land whale.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
In
but
America,
I'd maybe go
in
50%.
Yeah. So, just to rehash a little bit, there's really no way. I think what we're finding is everything
Yeah.
that you could do in a barn could conceivably happen in a barn.
It is
Nothing
therefore-
is alien to the barn.
Yeah, the,
setting.
the barn sort of encompasses everything.
But
The world is kind of
I
a
feel
barn.
ultimately like that's money on the table, though, because clearly you can do things for a barn that make it feel not like a barn.
Yes.
Yeah.
String
Like
lights.
that just has to be true. Put up some
put up
fairy
some
lights.
string lights. Put up
Or
again. I think
bars.
posters.
Just like
Yeah.
metal bars.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and explain.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Just
to hear.
like metal bars over every entrance
Okay.
and like and locked.
Okay.
And then each
Okay.
Like a stall.
Is that
not a stall.
It
if you
feels
could
like
call
a
it
stall.
cell.
Okay, like a cell.
okay? So you're saying turn the barn into a prison.
A prison.
Okay. I thought they were. Sometimes I think I have maybe I do a little prep. I get a vision of what an answer to the question would be. I start thinking this is a family. They want to live sort of like a nice human existence in a barn.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't necessarily occur to me that that we need the bars.
Also,
Yeah.
and again, the bars are going to be barn-like because what else
Yeah.
has animals in bars? Zoos, and zoos are basically barns.
They're
so it's
essentially
Okay.
a barn.
Okay.
Like, it
Well,
falls
okay.
into
How
the
about
same
this?
trap.
How about
So-
this? You glass all around the barn, fill it up with water.
okay.
Create an aquarium. That's again not really something that
Not
humans.
a barn.
I'm not. The point is not really.
And could a whale be in there?
Oh,
The
now
point,
now a
I
whale
don't
could
think. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the point, I believe, is to make the barn a homey,
like habitable for humans.
habitable human space.
Okay.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is so.
It's
So say filling it with water
Yeah.
would make it
nice and cool.
as inhospitable as possible.
They're going to be there for the
for
summer.
human survival.
Summertime. Ooh.
So now
every
you guys
day's
are
pool
both-
day.
You guys agree that it's a good idea
Okay,
to.
maybe you don't fill the whole thing up.
Maybe
just
also, we
part
said
of it.
don't renovate your barn.
Okay, right.
Well,
right.
yeah, that
Okay.
is going to be a problem.
Okay.
That is going to be a problem.
I do think it makes sense. It makes sense to scale it back
Yeah.
and just go for, what are some things you could go to Target and buy and put up, in the place. Make it more homey.
I'm willing to say devote, a couple of square feet to a 200-gallon tank or something. Like that
Okay.
seems fine.
Like a bathing tank.
A bathing tank.
A bathing tank.
That's
Okay.
fine. If you need an aquarium in there, if you need to cool off. I would say it's not the most direct way to make a barn feel like a
Less
human
like a
home.
barn.
It's true. I don't
She didn't
have
say she wanted to feel like a home. She said she wanted to
I
feel
know she didn't say
less
it, but
like a
I understood
barn.
what she meant. I'm
know?
not stupid.
Josh has proved that through sheer
Go back
voice
through the
volume.
tape.
I agree.
Through the tape. Go back to the tape. I'm just trying to help this woman out.
Okay.
Me too. I'm
And-
listening to her question. I don't think that that what she's asking for is to create a prison or an aquarium.
Well,
and this actually
combine both.
now that it's been laid out like that, I think you're right. I think she just wants to live in like a half barn. She didn't say homey, and she didn't say she said less barn like. So
Yeah.
I think we're just dialing back barn.
Yeah, so
A
you
little
could
bit.
you could just use the stalls
Yeah.
and don't remodel it, but make them into like cubicles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like an office now.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could make it. Okay. So I guess I'm not. The point that we're ending up on here is anything that you do to make it not barn-like will be an acceptable. That's an acceptable answer.
I mean, I'm
Burn it down.
there
Well,
you go.
there was-
actually that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It would be completely unbarn-like.
Yep.
Yeah.
No
but
more
also,
barn.
you know what burns down a lot?
Yeah.
Barns. That's pretty barn-like to burn down.
You actually shouldn't do that. Yeah. I would yeah, you want it to be How do you do this?
I think what we have to do is change our perception, Caleb. I think
Okay.
you and I have to change the way that we are interpreting this question. And I think we have to actually use our powers, meager though they may be, of inference
Yes.
to infer that that she means she wants it to be livable and habitable.
Livable for a human
humans.
being.
For human beings.
Remember, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this. Remember that the initial problem is they can't be in their house.
Okay.
Yes.
So they have to be in the barn. And so keeping in mind that they're human beings who live in a house, that they would like some of the comforts of the house in the barn.
Okay.
But they have to remodel their house, right? So
Yes.
must not be too good.
Thanks for listening to Advanced Answering Techniques. You can have us treat your questions this way if you'll only send them to advancedansweringtechniques@gmail.com. We're looking for a voice memo, some kind of audio file about a minute in length. Send those along. I wanted to just, go over kind of how we think we did.
Do you want to okay. I mean
I think it was good. I think that actually I'm going to pledge. I'm going to make a pledge.
Okay.
To try to understand the question better in the future. After 82, I think this is 83.
This is 82.
82 episodes, I think I've realized that I haven't lived up to the Advanced Answering Techniques name and the professionalism that we've sort of presented ourselves with. I
Well-
haven't lived up to that by being
It does seem that at
unable
times,
to understand the question.
I'm glad you've seen that, Gabe.
Yeah.
It seems that
I'm
at
glad
times
you've seen that
have,
about yourself.
Thank you.
we haven't kind of taken the questions with like their
Yeah.
full range of meaning.
Like, for example, if somebody says, "How would you answer this question?" we say, "Great." We do a very good job of answering the question. listen. That's funny for a moment, but is it living up to the advanced answering techniques name?
Stamp of approval.
I think I kind of see what you're going, and I think my problem is actually the exact opposite, and I'm overthinking this.
Yeah.
And that I should just kind of toss it off.
Yeah.
Just like don't think about it.
Just kind of throw it away.
Throw it away.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, what's the first thing that I think
Okay,
of?
so Gabe's, you think you've been thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, I don't feel like that, but that's what I'm guessing is happening.
And sorry, I'm just curious as to why.
Well, because it seems like I'm getting into these. There's the question and all the different. You could look at the question broadly and understand, just kind of try to understand it really broadly. But I like to get in the nooks and crannies of a question.
Yeah.
And then I think those, when you are looking in those spots, you start to see little things that aren't quite right, or that different ways that it could be. Inhabited. The question could be inhabited. You know.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like a barn.
I think there's
questions are like barns.
Unknowable.
Yeah. And you guys have Substacks.
Oh, we do have Substacks.
And you have to promote the Substacks.
I forgot about the Substacks.
Yeah.
And you have to do it because I wrote a poem about promoting the Substacks.
I'm glad you reminded us. We do have Substacks. I have a Substack. Mine is sturvinson.substack.com. Please check it out.
Yep. And Gabe, just so you guys know, Gabe isn't so concerned with our Substacks.
Right. He's concerned with his
He's
poem.
concerned with his poem.
No, I find the Substacks to be supremely inspiring for poetry.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure that my poetry gets shared.
I know that.
And I want... What do you mean?
There's no way I could
Listen,
know
somebody's
that.
a little stingy with the with the clicks of the like button.
Right.
This is all of the likes of the week. Balled up, carefully, not
balled up.
wantonly. Yeah.
Okay.
Carefully arranged.
Carefully arranged and then just balled up.
Listen to my likes. You two listen to my likes now. This one's entitled
Caleb, are you going to mention yours?
Shh. Oh yeah, Caleb, go ahead and mention it.
No, it's all right. Gabe wants to do his poem.
Well, guess what? Your Substack gets mentioned in my poem.
Okay, so we'll just...
This one's titled Substack, Wherefore art thou Substack? If he was alive, would William Shakespeare be on Substack? Yes. If she was alive, would Jane Austen be on Substack? Yes. If he wasn't just too busy terrifying children, would Boost Gump's author R.L. Stine be on Substack? Yes. Well, Caleb and Josh are on Substack. You can find them at cgrams.substack.com and sturvinson.substack.com. By the way, did you know that the RL in R.L. Stine's name stands for really lousy? He sure showed them.
His parents did that to him.
Really lousy Stine.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a human is not a very good Stein.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.